up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Trailblazers. Today we are going to be exploring some incredible things here. We're currently out in the wilderness and we're looking for a waterfall. We're currently traveling along this trail here and hopefully we'll get to see some pretty fun stuff here. Man, we got this canyon here. It is an incredible day just to be outside and exploring God's beautiful creation. I mean, just look at all of this. This is incredible. And I think it's just so cool that we have the ability to get outside and explore just what God has made. And I think it's actually very important for us as Christians to get outside and, see what God has made. Because not only does God's creation just give the glory back to the Creator. I mean, it says in Romans chapter 1, verse 20, it says, "For the invisible qualities of Him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by what has been made, even His eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse." You see, this is saying that God's creation declares the glory of its Creator. And when we get outside and explore, it really is evident that all of this was designed and perfectly created by a Creator God. So that is just so cool. But why else is it important for us to get outside and explore? Well, I mean, a lot of our lives are spent throughout social media or on the internet. And unfortunately, it kind of has to be that way sometimes. But I think it's important for us today as Christians to just take a release. You see, God did tell the Israelites to take a Sabbath to rest from all their work and kind of just relieve themselves from the stress of a daily life. And when you get outside and explore God's creation just like this, you do feel that release. You do feel that peace because you see how everything, whether it be the trees or even the little streams, work together to form a beautiful harmony in God's incredible creation. God actually wants us to have that adventurous spirit. You see, He told Adam to take dominion over the earth. Now, this doesn't mean that we're supposed to save the planet and just limit our ability to either grow or harvest certain things, whether it be crops or animals or whatever, go hunt certain creatures. Now, I definitely think that we are supposed to preserve things. So endangered species, for example, those you do want to protect. But then again, you don't want to become so liberal with it that it becomes an idol. Because if it does, well, then you've just lost sight of the one true God. So I think it's important that we, yes, preserve God's creation, but I think it's also important that we don't lose sight of who the Creator actually is. So I think it is a really cool concept that God has given us to just get outside and see what He has. All right, that's enough by the stream there. Let's continue on. We still got to find a waterfall. We've got these wooden steps built. Man, it is just so nice out here. It's relaxing. God is really good. I mean, the way that these ecosystems are built are just so cool. God has designed this forest to be just perfect to thrive. You see, you've got all these big trees which are catching all the rays of sun that beat down upon it year after year, day after day. And you got all these tiny trees. Now, you might be wondering, well, how do these tiny trees live? How do they survive when all the big trees block all the sunlight? Well, you see, God has designed these tiny trees, these small ones, to thrive in shady environments. And so when all these big trees, when they grow leaves, they shade these smaller ones and provide the perfect environment for them to grow. But then what happens when the big trees die? Well, they obviously release all their seeds and everything. They die, they fall over just like this one here. But this allows these smaller trees to allow more sunlight in. You see, the seeds of the big trees actually need a whole lot of sunlight in order to grow. So now you have got a whole lot of sunlight reaching the forest floor, and this in turn allows the bigger trees to grow. And sure, these tiny ones provide a little shade, and a little shade's not going to kill them, just like a little sun's not going to kill these guys. And so it becomes a repetitive process. It becomes a process where the big trees grow up, provide shade for the little ones, the big ones die, the little ones allow sunlight in, which in turn allows the big ones to grow again. It just repeats over and over and over. It's just a perfectly designed environment created by God. We just found one of the falls. Here, take a look at this. That is so cool right there. Oh, wow. What's really neat about all these falls is all the layering that you can see. Like, if you look closely, you can see how there are all these layers throughout the fall. And this is actually due to how waterfalls form. You see, there's a soft layer of rock underneath that erodes away more quickly as water hits it than the harder top layer. And so over time, eventually, the lower layer gets eroded away and then slowly creates a little ledge with this hard rock layer. And this hard rock eventually becomes so heavy that it breaks off and crumbles down below. Now, this is obviously a lot smaller, but this is technically true for a lot of the falls that we see. However, the part that it gets a lot of scientists wrong is they say it takes millions of years for this to happen. However, we know that's not to be true because we have observed other waterfalls that erode away so rapidly that even the evolutionary scientists claim, oh no, it had to happen very quickly. And that's the case of what we see with a whole lot of waterfalls all across the globe. Besides, they don't even take into account the possibility of catastrophism, some massive sort of event, catastrophic events that may have formed these type of waterfalls. And I think it really just goes to show that you can have these kind of waterfalls all across the globe if just the right necessary event happens. Kind of like a worldwide flood. Look at this little guy, little crawdad. This guy is perfectly suited to live in freshwater environments, just like this type of river. And we see a lot of creatures like these not only live here in freshwater environments, but also in saltwater environments. So, I mean, you got his bigger relatives, the lobster, and they are obviously a whole lot bigger. And this just shows all the different variety in God's creation. You see, God designed each creature specifically to not to have different changes within their genes. So just like we have all these different kinds of dogs, well, they're all still dogs. So just like we can have a saltwater crustacean, we can also have a freshwater crustacean, and they're both different sizes, just like a Chihuahua and a Great Dane. They're totally different sizes. And that's what we see here in God's creation. It's something that He designed in the creature. It's pretty neat. So I was doing some reading about the rock layering that we see here at the falls, and I discovered that it is made up of the shale formation. Now, shale is a very brittle material, and it is formed due to massive bodies of water laying down sediment. So like a perfect example would be under the ocean. the rock layers that are laid down there. Now, we see that shale is actually found alongside massive bodies of limestone and sandstone. How in the world do we get such massive layers of sedimentation alongside the shale, which is formed due to massive bodies of water laying down sedimentation? How in the world, why do we find it? Well, the obvious conclusion that we must draw is that at some point, Tennessee was covered in massive bodies of water. But what event would cause such a thing to occur? Well, the Bible actually gives us an example, and it's the worldwide flood as mentioned in Genesis. So I believe that at some point, yes, Tennessee was covered in this massive layering of water, which laid down all the shale formations that we see, the limestone formations and the sandstone formations. And that's why we got such massive layering of limestone, sandstone, and shale across not just Tennessee, but across the world. We found it. What's really cool about this kind of fall is its geological formation. You see, this fall is made up of the shale formation, and shale is actually found alongside limestone, which are formed due to ocean sedimentation and activity from marine life. So this is actually the shale itself. Geologists have discovered that shale is formed whenever there is large amounts of water. However, we are so high up, and yet we see the shale formation. So how in the world do we get such shale formation, not only here in Tennessee, but across the globe? Particularly here in Tennessee, we're in the middle of nowhere. There is no ocean around. It requires large bodies of water to form such massive layers. So how in the world do we get it? Well, it can't have happened over millions of years, because that, once again, it still requires large bodies of water. So where did all the water come from? Well, Genesis actually gives us the answer. You see, in Genesis, God says that he's going to send a worldwide flood to wipe out all of mankind. And it says that the floodwaters rose to covering even the highest mountain. So water was over the entire surface of the world, which means that this land was covered with water. Now, as the flood, it said that the flood lasted, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, and it lasted for almost a year. So we got large amounts of water, and the sedimentation that's been stirred up from all across the globe is now beginning to settle. It forms all these massive layering, and it's particularly the seawater and the marine life necessary to form the limestone. And then you got the massive layering of shale on top of that. It sounds like a lot of evidence for the worldwide flood of the Bible. All right, you guys, we're gonna see if we can get down below and see if we can see the falls from over there. We're at a fork in the road. You know, sometimes in life it feels like we are at a crossroad, and you know, sometimes it's hard to choose. But God gives us instruction. He actually tells us that wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to death. And many will find it. But small is the gate and narrow the path that leads to life. Remember to live on the straight and narrow path. We've been hiking for a while, and I think we're getting close to the bottom of the falls here. Maybe we just got a little more to go. Okay, you guys, I think we are almost there. What's that? What is that? Why is it out here? This is just in the middle of nowhere. What? It's like some sort of oven, fire pit. It's in the middle of nowhere. That's strange. That's weird. Huh. Maybe this was a place for campers. Huh. Well, that's strange. It's sad to see it go to waste and just see it decay and crumble. Unfortunately, that is the natural order of our world right now. If any of you guys are science geeks, you probably understand the second law of thermodynamics. Everything goes from order to disorder. But that's not the original way that God intended his creation. You see, God had created everything perfect from the beginning. Designed never to decay, never to die, including Adam and Eve. But when Adam and Eve sinned, they brought this death, decay, and suffering into the world. Now Adam, unfortunately, was now destined to live in a world that would now have thorns, thistles, decay, even though he was supposed to live a perfect, holy life. But the story doesn't end there. You see, then Jesus enters the scene. And he actually lived that perfect life that Adam was supposed to. And he actually exchanged his life for Adam's, basically, for actually all of our lives. You see, the perfect life that he lived was enough to atone for the sins of Adam, of Eve, and of all mankind. So Jesus traded his perfect life for the one that Adam was supposed to live, his imperfect life. That's pretty cool, and that is how God is able to redeem us. Wow, we're here. Oh, guys, we're behind the waterfall. Oh, wow. This is crazy. Oh, wow. Guys, I got a spider that is hanging right here behind the waterfall. That is a survivor right there. So as you guys can see here, we have this waterfall right here. But if you look under here, you can actually see the soft sediments underneath. And it forms, all these layering of limestone, and it's slowly eroding away as the water hits it. And you get this massive outcropping up here that is formed. It's made up of harder sedimentation, harder rock, and that's what this water is flowing off of. So we do see this erosion. This is what scientists say it is. It is true. However, it does not take millions of years to form because there's no way that this stuff lasts that long. Besides, it has to be formed because of ocean creatures and salt water. So there is no way that this just took millions of years to form. No, it had to happen very quickly, because otherwise we wouldn't have the shale formation, we wouldn't have the limestone formation. And so this waterfalls are evidence, not only for the worldwide flood of the Bible, but just to show that our world is not millions of years old, only thousands of years old, just like the Bible says. We visit waterfalls all across the globe, just like this one. We see evidence of beauty and complexity in creation. And we know that our God is a God of beauty. He's a God of complexity. He's a God of functionality. And we see that not only does this provide evidence to show the creation of the universe, but also the evidence for the worldwide flood, for the recent creation of the earth. And it just goes to show that the Bible is 100% true. And if the Bible's true, then that means that our God has created all of this for us to enjoy. So I encourage you, get out into creation, find a waterfall near you, and explore God's creation. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I certainly had an incredible adventure today, exploring the waterfalls here in God's amazing creation, and just getting to see the firsthand evidence that the Bible is true. Join me for more adventures just like this here on Trailblazers, and remember, ignite the flame and burn for Jesus.